I have no idea what this video is about, but I can reason that it has to do something with the comments that the founder of Journe, Mr. Journe, made at Only Watch.
No, it's actually worse.
No,
it's
really?
actually worse. What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
My name is Michael. This video is sponsored by Fake Fragrances.
More on them later. Today's episode is wild. Nothing like this has ever happened. I don't think that it will really happen again.
Really?
Because there's no brand like FP Journe in the world. Not really. FP Journe is unique. It is one of the most successful independents in the world. It is completely reliant on the will of one man. The question around FP Journe has always been, what happens when Journe dies?
What happens when there is no FP Journe?
What and maybe like in art, right? They become more collectible.
Sure.
But the difference is with art, the art ceases. The art stops.
Yeah.
When it comes to watchmaking, this brand will live on forever, in theory, under the name FP Journe, right? So the question has always been, will the brand tank? Will the brand succeed? Are the creative minds behind FP Journe that are not just the man, Francois Paul Journe, are they strong enough to continue this legacy, or are they going to water it down?
But now there's a new question.
Now there's a new question. Okay. And it's a question that the people who know the man have seen coming for a long time. And I don't know the man personally, but I know the man's legacy, and his legacy is on the optimistic side.
Sure.
That he imbibes greatly, right? The man drinks a lot of red wine and has a lot of fun, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I love a good glass of red wine. I love getting a little bit toasty with some friends, and I love being jolly, no problem. But if you want to be a little bit more critical about the perception of Francois Paul Journe, it's that he does get too drunk in public, and you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. Period. Yeah. Which isn't surprising because, I think his age and culture is not in necessary concert with, modern times. Number one, right? You get my grandpa pretty drunk, he's going to say some weird shit too, right? No doubt about it. But no one's walking around with the name Tito Granga on their watch, right? So his drunk shenanigans on the once a year he gets drunk have no impact on the world or on collectors. That's not true here, right? Well, the reality here is the FP Journe collector community, on an individual level, individuals, many own hundreds of thousands of dollars. They own millions of dollars of FP Journe, right? They own a few watches, even 400,000, 500,000. It's crazy the ride that they've gone on with FP Journe, the brand.
They've been rewarded so far.
And they've been rewarded so far. And they've a little bit spoiled even, right?
You can't lose at this point. Right?
They've had a hard night.
Yeah.
But now the watch market, first of all, has softened in general, right? The watch market has softened since COVID incredibly.
Already scary.
And FP Journe is not safe. They've been okay, but they're not safe.
Yep.
Okay, not completely. But worse than that is Nico Leonard, a very famous YouTuber. I'm sure if you guys watch us, it's a high likelihood that you watch him as well. Nico Leonard just released in a video last week that FP Journe at a collector dinner got drunk and said some crazy things, and we don't know what was said, but I've heard the rumors as well that collectors did get up off the table and leave. And mind you, presumably, if these are collectors at a collector dinner with FP Journe, they have a lot of Journe. These are people that are heavily invested.
These are people that the company said, okay, you need to sit down with Christian Journe because he has $3 million in Journe.
Exactly. And they even went so far as liquidating some or all of their FP Journe. The first, question is, do you blame them? Do you blame people that own millions of dollars of your brand?
Absolutely not. That to me is as close as you can get to like your inside trading on the watches. Like you were like, oh, this company's going down. Like I'm going to run out and get rid of these right now. Right now. Who wants these? But
Blue Horseshoe hates FP Journe. That's a reference from Wall Street. It doesn't matter. I don't know why I said it. The point is, I agree with you. I think that it's predictable.
Yeah, they probably got up to go sell their watch.
Anybody, and this is a mark of a guy that's a lot of fun, and it's also the mark of a guy that you don't want to have too much money invested in their name. The kind of guy that at a party at 11 or 12 looks at you and just can't help but to smile, but all their teeth are red. That's a guy that is great. Maybe you go blast. but he shouldn't be driving.
He shouldn't be your CEO.
And he shouldn't be the CEO. He shouldn't be the CEO because he is a liability.
Right.
Alcohol is a lot of fun, sure, but it
gets you drunk.
It gets you drunk, and when you're drunk, you don't have control. And if there's one thing a CEO needs, it's control. Right.
This is in the midst of the reason. Just a little backstory with Only Watch. I thought it was an Only Watch thing because we just did a video that it's up now, where we talked about possibly the biggest fraud in the watch market ever.
Agreed.
And immediately before any other information came out, right before investigation started, FP Journe, I actually don't know his name.
Francois Paul. He stood up on Instagram or wherever it may be and said, I fully support Only Watch and everything behind it. Which again, my counterpoint was, I can't imagine doing that for anybody. And that's not because I'm not a good friend. It is because when there is an allegation that seems to hold water,
sure,
I don't think that I know anyone well enough to say, oh, there's no chance they did that.
And publicly.
I'd be like, right, exactly. Like, I would be like, I use the example with you. If Michael were on trial for murder, right, and I could be called as a character witness, if Michael had the bad judgment to call me as a character witness, I could speak extensively on how I viewed this allegation was completely uncharacteristic.
Sure.
Right? But I can't say
it's uncharacteristic, but you can't say, I know without a doubt there's no chance Michael did that. And even if he did, the guy probably deserved it.
Like you just can't do that, right? Particularly when it comes to just like large scale corporate fraud, because like it probably happened. Like, you know what I mean?
Definitely,
So FP Journe was already in kind of the news in this kind of negative sense.
Yeah, that was for me the first time I ever heard anything about FP Journe.
Right.
I was like, oh, that doesn't match with how I thought the brand was. Like, I picture FP Journe as like this very suave guy at the collector's dinner who doesn't say much, but is wearing his own brand.
Oh, no. He doesn't shut up.
This video is sponsored by Fake Fragrances. Why spend all that money on luxury designer fragrances when you can get the same scent for way less money?
I love, the finer things in life. Everyone knows that. But I have the one area that I have just never indulged in has been fragrance. And I think that largely it's because I think it's grossly overpriced. Mm-hmm. I think that going into, a store and buying $500 in a little jar like this is just silly. And I've just never been able to justify it. But fake fragrance is the solution, right? Not, everyone should be able to smell fantastic. Not just folks who I think are a little bit too easily parted with their money.
Currently, they offer 9 scents in 2 sizes, 50 milliliters for $30 and 100 milliliters for $40. From spicy and floral to woodsy and fruity, there is a fake fragrance for everyone.
The quality is just premium, and the consistency is there. Again, I've never been a big fragrance guy. I've never been a cologne guy, but fake fragrances has been, I think, the answer to folks who honestly would rather allocate that capital elsewhere, right, to other luxury things, right, to watches, but there's no excuse to not smell fantastic when you leave the house. There's just no excuse for it. And I think the fake fragrances is the perfect answer.
Yeah. And you can get 20% off your entire order and free shipping by using our code Theo Harris at checkout.
I know this from, I've never been to an FP Journe collector dinner. I can't say who, obviously, but I know, and if you listen, you'll understand who I'm talking about. Not to say you weren't going to listen.
If you listen for hey,
I have been sent very risque photos and videos of FP Journe from
risque.
Does that imply sexuality? Because that's not what I meant.
I think so.
That's not what I meant. I meant like I was like, that's weird. That's a weird thing to say. Wow. I didn't mean like that. What I meant was like photos and video that no executive would ever want of themselves out there.
You would assume you'd get a call and it'd be like, how much to get you to remove those?
Right. As soon as you see a cell phone, you're like, what are you doing on your cell phone? Why are you recording me?
Right.
It's the first thing I would say.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. Because I'm clearly not behaving for camera right now.
Right.
Yeah. So that I've known this for a while, that he gets really, really bombed up and behaves kind of fun.
Sure.
But the line between, like, I can definitely say he does that. I can't say he's inappropriate because he's never been inappropriate around me.
Sure.
So I could never say that he's inappropriate or has said anything vulgar. Those are the rumors.
Of course.
Before this.
Sure.
And now that Nico broke this news, the question just becomes again, like, there isn't even a comp there isn't even another brand in the watch world that has a similar scenario.
Right.
That they are so large in again,
Sure.
we're talking about an independent brand. We're not talking about Rolex here.
Yeah.
But they're so large and their whole identity is on the whim of one guy.
This guy.
Max Busser. First of all, and I don't believe MB&F is as culturally important as
and
as
Friends
FP
anyway.
Journe. Right. But Max Busser is publicly known as just a lovely human being that no one's ever said in my presence. And
No one's
I'm
walking
around,
out of collector's dinner.
no one's ever said anything about bad about Max Busser.
Wow.
Because you're a CEO with a good temperament, and maybe you're just a good guy. But on the pessimistic side, even if you're a bad guy, you surely don't let anyone else know.
Wow.
You're just a good guy. Same thing with Dufour. Same thing with who are the other examples?
You think of the watch first,
right? Whereas now, with larger brands, right? Like let's say Philippe Bonnet of Panerai, got drunk and streaked in the middle of the city.
Really?
No, let's say that happened. It wouldn't look really that bad for Panerai in a large sense.
Sure, because that's not Panerai.
He's not Giuseppe Panerai.
Right.
He's not the founder. Like he's not the guy that designed it. It's different. Yeah. You're just an unemployed CEO now.
Right.
You're just a guy that fell apart.
Yeah, you lost your mind. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that's not that weird.
Right.
No one would really care.
Exactly.
You know what that would be? That'd be a
regular
party.
Wednesday for you.
Yeah, rumored party. That would not be like the devastation of a brand.
Of course. Yeah.
Whereas this, I don't think FP Journe will collapse. I don't think it'll be totally devastated.
Wait,
but I do think it will fall out of favor. Whether you're a Submariner guy or a 50 Fathoms guy or a Day-Date guy or an FP Journe guy, you've got to just take a step back and appreciate this history here. This isn't stuff you're going to find in a showcase. This is not mass-produced stuff, which is beautiful in its own right. I mean, this is treasure hunting. So let's assume that this is all true, right? Let's assume he did say some, let's say he said some controversial things. Let's say
to the point where collectors left.
Right.
And decided to sell their Journe.
Now, let's say these collectors don't actually, they didn't sell their Journe because they were so deeply offended.
Right.
But they sold their Journe because they said, it's possible.
Sure.
It's like, oh, was this a bad idea the whole time?
He's going to tank the value.
He's going to tank the value of my watches. My watch, because he's
sure.
So let's assume he's a nut.
Yeah.
Is this good? Should I have $700,000 in Journes? Should I have $2 million in Journe? Is this a bad idea?
Yeah, right. He didn't say anything bad. He didn't say something bad enough to make you sell the collection. He said stuff that made you think, this guy's going to kill everything.
This guy's going to kill everything. He's going to turn my $700,000 into $200,000.
He's going to basically hit a glacier with the ship.
Exactly. In today's era of brand, and maybe he said something raunchy or erotic or
you're a guy with a Journe aspiring to own a Journe, whatever. Nico is the biggest guy in watches, 1.6 million subs. This is his most famous video of the year, his watch ranking list. You watch that video and you're like, oh, I kind of watch Nico to like goof off, but this guy's giving me serious financial advice, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's horrifying.
And that's
it didn't start with us. It started the biggest top dog.
Exactly.
Wow.
Kind of odd, right?
Yeah.
But not surprising at all. At all. I mean,
you have what was it? Lewd pictures of him?
I have risque. Yeah, like it's not surprising. Like, listen, I think that I drink, you don't, right? And I think that everyone knows that the number one kind of rule of drinking when it comes to like business is, when you're out at business, you cannot let this.
You can't lose it.
Alter your judgment in any way.
And from
every drink is a risk. Like this happens all the time. Like
with him.
I know he's nuts. Like I don't know the things, but he strikes you as someone who is ossified drunk. Wow. And when someone is like that, anything can come out of their mouth. They can say or do anything. I mean, it does not communicate stability. It does not. Wow. And when I've got $700,000 riding on your brand or $1 million or $2 million, and you're not communicating stability to me, it's not good.
And I would say FP Journe and the watch world in general, it's not like you're following a musician or musical artist or something like that who is going to have this amazing comeback. Like, I was struggling with sobriety. I came back. I made this amazing album. Like,
No,
he can't tell that story. He's not a storyteller through anything except his watches.
He's not. And it's also like, let's say all the musicians that have done that, it didn't hurt anybody.
Exactly.
What did you give me? Maybe my concert kind of sucked because you were high.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like that comeback story, it's really hard to pull that off.
But if there's no loss, it doesn't really matter. Like the comeback story is just good entertainment. If I never
it's
lost
a weightless comeback story.
I never,
you watched a person come back. You didn't say, "I just lost $350,000 from your comeback."
I don't care about your comeback. You just lost me $500,000.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh great, you're doing better now. F you.
Wow.
Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very different people.
And again, I love FP Journe, the watch brand. I think that their
watches are
Souverain
amazing.
is amazing. I love the Havana dial. I love plenty of their watches. But I never bought. I never bought in. I was too late to the party, and then it got too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, we went to an event where a guy had like 4 on his wrist, and that's usually when you know you're too late.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I guess the question is like, let's say like Michael Christian. I don't mean like,
sure.
There's an imaginary person.
Of course.
Let's say you had a $50,000 FP Journe right now.
I paid $50 for it.
Yeah.
What's the retail?
Let's say you paid like 60, so it's Souverain, the retail's like 30.
I paid 60?
Yeah.
And I want to keep my investment? You get it out.
You get it out.
Yeah.
You get it out.
Unless you get it out or you say like, I guess regardless of the name, I love my watch. But even then, like looking at a guy's name on the dial and knowing that he's like a nut, you'd be like,
right,
come on.
And then you're running the risk of him actually, forget about the money of it, like actually saying something or doing something.
That's what I mean.
Really don't.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like basically what you said, the Rolex CEO or whoever doing something bad and you'd be like, well, that's not the brand. Like,
it's not the brand. Yeah.
That's being like, oh, wow. It says your name on my watch.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly. Like I have friends with Journes right now that are, like close friends that are, the Journes, let's say, are worth, 60 to 80,000. So not like, but those aren't considered high Journe collectors. Those are just like a guy that owns a Journe. And I wouldn't recommend they get rid of it because, I know the guys and I know that they wouldn't care if they lost 20 grand.
Yeah.
I know they would. It's like, it's fine. They don't think they'll care. Not in any real way.
Right.
But if those same guys had 200,000 in Journe, I'd be like, get out.
Yeah.
Because you're going to care if you lose $100,000.
Right.
You're going to really care, So that, you're when it's small numbers, your tolerance is kind of high.
Of course, yeah.
But the brand itself lends itself to a lot of wealth, like to having $1 million in one. It's very easy to have $1 million Journe collection. It's not a hard thing to do.
Right.
You get the right Torb and it's $600 grand. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I brokered a Jade Torb right in the beginning of COVID.
Whoa.
And I think it was 440, something like that.
That's a watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of watch.
Yeah.
It was a lot of watch. One watch, boom.
Wow.
So people have 3 or 4 of them. It's like, okay, you're sitting on $1.5 million.
Right.
And it's tight,
the founder of the brand just said something terrible.
Exactly.
To your friend, because the Journe collecting pool is not, I'm not assuming it's massive.
Right.
So it's like, okay, you went to dinner with him, you were texting me about it, and you're like, you should hear what this guy just said.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Again, saying something, in private is very different. Once you're perceived as unreliable in public, particularly with alcohol, you're shot.
Oh, yeah.
Your reputation is over. No one's going to trust you with their money.
Yeah.
Nobody. That's why we like to have a drink and have some fun. But when it comes down to, work environment, it's just a totally different animal. It's a totally different animal.
Wow.
But sorry guys. Oops,
Yikes.
Oopsie poopsie.
Oopsie.
If you guys liked this video, go ahead and like it. And if you'd like more content from Theo and Harris, go ahead and subscribe down below to the Zero. We post podcasts every week and community posts all the time. And if you do join, you can shoot me a DM and we can go back and forth personally. I'd love to meet you. Straps, as many of you should know, bring a whole world of potential to mix up your watch collection. They breathe new life into watches. They help you pull out different colors. They give them new personality. Straps can be very addictive. I know people with 2 watches and 10 straps because it adds so many facets to a collection in a fairly easy and fun way. So that's why they become such a part of the Theo and Harris culture and identity. I think we sell more exotic straps than almost anybody because I just love them so much and I love sharing them with you.